What's up, everybody? It's your boy Juice, and today we're talking about the ultimate beginner's guide to grading sports cards and why it's important, or why should you care. I know there's a lot of people in the hobby that says, I hate grading. There's other people that say they love grading. I'm one of those people that love grading. This video here is just for those who are interested. I get a ton of comments all the time talking about grading and why you should grade, who you should grade with, who, what, when, and why. We talked a little bit about it on the podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We do weekly videos on like a podcast type of video. Plus, we do a ton of other items, so make sure you subscribe. But today, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth of why sports card grading is important, knowing some terms, talking about the grading companies, and kind of just giving a huge overview for beginners. So hopefully this video is helpful. And if you're an expert, because I know I'm not, but there are experts out there, and I know you love to leave your comments below, so go ahead and leave a comment below. And people, when you're reading these comments, just be sure to know to take them with a grain of salt, just like this particular video. Now, let's get into it. All right, so here we go. This right here is a Luka Doncic rookie card. This is a insert. This is a silver insert of freshman phenoms. This is one of his rookie cards from Prism. And this particular insert is called the freshman phenom. These right here are probably not as desirable as a true rookie card from Prism, like the actual design of the true base. Like for instance, this is a different set, but like for instance, this is a true base LaMelo Ball from Optic. This is his true rookie card. Something like this is an insert. So although they're less desirable, they're still highly collected, especially with the type of players there are. Now, this is a silver, so this is somewhat of a short print. There's numbered versions of this particular card, and there's also a base. Now, this is an example of the base. I actually have one here. This is a base, and this is a silver. See the difference? There's like this hollow shine to it, where this one has nothing of the sort. But the reason why these particular cards were graded is because they're Luka Doncic rookie cards. This set is very expensive to get your hands on. So if you like Luka Doncic, this might be your only opportunity to have some Prism cards from that particular set at a cheaper value. Each of these, this is probably like a $25 card, and this is like a $45 card. Now let's talk a little bit about rookies. Now rookies in general have this rookie symbol typically on cards, or they have the rated rookie symbol. From Optic. Both of these are Panini cards. This is just from a different set. This is from a paper set called Hoops, and this is from a premium stock set called Optic. Now, the big difference between these are the type of design of the cards. This is more of a paper, so it's super thin. They're all cheap to make, but these are, they're all also printed to oblivion, but this is a little bit more common. There's a lot more of this particularly printed in theory. This right here is a purple parallel of a premium stock. So it has this shine, it has a thickness to it. It's just an overall better card. And these are sometimes more collectible from an investment standpoint and having in someone's PC. The cool thing about this, and some of the key terms we'll go over today, are things like color match. This is a beautiful color match of the jersey matching the color of this particular card. Here, he's wearing a blue jersey in the purple. It's, even though it's cool and it's a numbered card and it's out of 99 from this particular set, if this was a blue on blue, it might have a little bit more appeal to a certain type of collector. So when you're looking at these cards, you want to take a look at things like rookie cards, inserts, numbered cards, base cards. You want to know what those are. So before you get grading on anything, take this note away. Make sure you fully understand the different types of sets, the different types of parallels, the different types of logos like rookie, rated rookie, numbered card, just understanding those key terms before you just jump in and start grading cards. Because you could grade a card and it could be the worst card, the worst set to grade of all time. So just keep that in mind. That's one of the biggest steps I would take away from this. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Juice, and I'm back at it again with another Whatnot stream. This Tuesday, January 28th, we're doing our final Whatnot stream of the month. And last week I gave away the most cards I've ever given away. I decided to bring it back again and double down and give away even more cards than I did the previous stream. I'm doing follower giveaways and I'm doing buyer appreciation giveaways. So make sure you guys come out and check it out. And let me tell you, we got some pretty cool cards that we're going to be giving away, including a Luka rookie card, a Donovan Mitchell rookie card, and a handful of others. It's going to be absolutely insane. And guess what? If you don't have a Whatnot account, and if you're still living under that rock, go ahead and remove the rock, stand up, do a big stretch, pull out your phone and click on the link below and sign up for Whatnot and get a free $15 from me and Whatnot to you guys. And if you come and spend it in the stream, you get these fantastic loot box packs. Now, you buy an item, you get a pack, and inside this pack is a bunch of free cards. The free cards have a chase card. That chase card is a Bryce Young RPA with a bunch of other cards. There's Wimby rookies in here. Ladies and gentlemen, these packs are absolutely phenomenal, and I highly recommend that you click on the link, you create an account, and you get that free $15, because a lot of these cards, my dollar auctions, have been going insane, and I have so many epic cards. Look at this. Anthony Edwards rookie, Tyrese Halliburton rookie color mats, another Luka Doncic silver rookie, and look at this Steph Curry out of 25. So ladies and gentlemen, we got a ton of cards, and if you want to participate, go ahead, click on the link, join the show, bookmark it. You don't have an account, you know what to do. The money's free. So come on out and we'll see you soon. Deuces. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about different companies. Like right now, I'm a big fan of PSA. PSA is this design right here. It has this red bordered label with the clear slab. You'll see others out there like a Beckett and SGC. Those are the top. You want to understand these companies because they're very important. Now, they're important based on resale value. Now, if you're here and you're a true collector, here's the thing about the hobby. I'm a big believer in there's true collectors that just want to collect. There's people in the hobby that just want to sell, and there's a person that is both. I am in favor of all three living in the hobby at the same time. A lot of individuals are not, but that's okay. You're okay to have your opinion. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I just don't agree with it. I agree that everybody should be able to live in an ecosystem collectively as one. And yeah, so when I'm looking at a graded card here, I want to go with the best. And in my opinion, the best, and based on the numbers and results, is PSA. Second and third are SGC and Beckett or BGS. Those two grading companies, and I'll have a couple examples pop up here on stream, are really cool too. But the amount of volume that PSA produces from a grading standpoint is just years beyond what anybody else can do. So the most popular by far is PSA, and that's my favorite as well. And that's what you have here. So you're going to get the ultimate value from PSA. Now, collectors like collecting, if you're like a graded card collector, I personally love PSA and PSA 10s. Like here's one of my favorite cards in my collection. My Devin Booker Colossal RPA from National Treasures, player worn, auto by Devin Booker, 1010. This is an extremely low pop. You can go ahead and look up this card. There is not many 1010s. This is number 9 out of 49. This card right here, raw, would probably sell for anyway. I believe I just saw one with 2 days left already at like 500, almost 600 bucks. This card will probably end up selling like $800-900 raw. To get a 1010 on a super thick card, something like from National Treasures, is extremely rare. And a lot of people like collecting those rare items. So when I like to collect things like this is a highly sought after card for me, I want PSA. Now on the flip side, if it's a perfect card, there's also something that's really cool called a Beckett Black Label. But when you're looking at cards from a collecting standpoint, you want to go ahead and collect what you believe is the best for the ultimate value, the ultimate design. I feel like this looks fantastic. This, in my eyes, is never going to leave my collection, but you would never want to say never. But I have no desire to move away from this anytime soon. Devin Booker's my favorite player in the league, And this is one of the best cards you can get of any player out there that is in the modern era. So yeah, this is just a prime example of that. So I want to take a moment to talk about the Gem Mint. Gem Mint 10, those are what PSA deems as close to perfect cards as possible. Beckett is the only company that gives it like their true black label is really there. SGC kind of has something, and so does all the other grading companies out there. PSA stops at the Gem Mint 10, but Beckett does have like a pristine 10, and then they have a black label 10, which is 100% perfect. It's nearly impossible to get. I do like chasing those as a collector. But PSA has a really good system. There's the example of a Gem Mint 10, and here's an example of a Mint 9. Now a Mint 9 is still a really good card, but there's something about it. There's something off about it. So when you're looking at a card here, you're looking at 4 major things: the surface of the card, the centering of the card, the corners of the card, and then the edges of the card. When you're looking at all 4 of those, and you can kind of see the eye appeal, like this card's slightly off-centered. When I look at the corners, a little bit of whitening at the corner at the bottom here, just a tad. Edges look great. And the surface is more than likely good as well. You can't see the surface now. You would have to look at it from a single card perspective as you're grading it. So like for instance with this, see there is a scratch there. So that means the surface wouldn't be 100% on this card, but the centering is really good. The edges on the back here, get a little bit of edge wear, but is that part of the cardstock? Typically that is, so that probably wouldn't get marked down much. And the corners look pretty sharp. So outside of this surface having that little scratch there, this card would be really, really good. But with that scratch, I would not deem this a gradable card, and I wouldn't send it in. There's a thing going on right now where there's huge movement because right now a lot of raw cards are selling for just as much, or if not more, than 9s, which is crazy. A PSA 9 should have some type of value, in my opinion. A PSA 10 should have that higher premium, as it's a perfect card in the eyes of the grader and the company, and they back that value. Here, like with this card being out of 25, a Steph Curry out of 25, popular player, a pretty good set, and then it's out of 25. Even though it's a 9, having it graded as a collector standpoint, I'd rather have this in the raw version of that, and I would pay a little bit more of a premium for a 9 rather than a raw. So if this is in my collection, I have it protected, I can touch it, I can hold it without damaging the card, I would go for more of a 9. So that's another, to get back to our original point, that's one of the big reasons why I would grade. So, we're looking at these cards. We talked about the grading company. We talked about what some of these items mean. We showed off a pretty cool card in my collection. Let's go ahead and talk about where you can get cards like this. Well, there's a handful of places that you can grab some cards from, right? You can grab them from local shops, buying and selling within that shop. Now, I don't know, I'm not saying this about all shops. I would highly recommend you go in, be a part of your community, talk to your shop, be there, ask questions. But a lot of these shops, right, majority of them, I would say, if they have loose cards in their cabinets, in their glass cages, they're more than likely not going to send them in for grading themselves. That's just my opinion. And I'm really close with a lot of card shops, and some of them might admit it, I don't know, but all the card shops I deal with, they would tell you straight up, like, hey, we don't think it's going to get a 10, so we don't send it in. I think a lot of businesses, a lot of card shop businesses, if they have raw cards showing in their display, they're not Gem Mint worthy, they're not going to send them in. Doesn't mean they can't get a 9. Doesn't mean that they're not going to have some that slip by. But when you're picking up cards, just be careful when you're going to a card shop. Card shops there, they got to make money and so forth. So they're going to maximize much as their inventory as they possibly can. I don't think there's anything shady about it, especially if they're pretty transparent, but you never want to take everybody's opinion, just like my opinion, to heart. You want to take it with a grain of salt. And when you're looking at cards in a card shop that are not graded, that are out for sale, I would make sure you take a look at the 4 big things that we talked about earlier: surface, centering, edges, and corners. If you look at all 4 of those and it passes your sniff test, then I would go ahead and potentially take a risk on the card. Now remember, all this stuff is not guaranteed, so it's 100% a risk. So you got to make sure that you keeping that in mind when you do this. Now, so card shops is one place you can get cards. Next place is the community, the hobby. You could buy, sell, and trade with people in your Instagram. There's Discord. Make sure you join our Discord. There's plenty of other communities out there in this massive overall sports card community. I kind of like see it as like a galaxy, and there's multiple planets, multiple hubs of other little smaller communities. The loot box community, for example, is one where you can go in and immerse yourself into the hobby, into the community, and buy and sell and trade with fellow individuals that have the same ideas and same mindset that you have. So that's a place you can do it. You could also go to garage sales, flea markets, and Facebook Marketplace to find different cards to potentially buy and grade. Now that's some of the best area where you're gonna find a lot of good examples. Now, flea markets and garage sales, you got to be careful because sometimes they don't take care of it. But Facebook Marketplace, you might have a few individuals that are just looking to sell cards for quick, and they probably don't know how to do grading. So they'll probably be able to make, you'll probably be able to find some really good condition cards, especially if they take care of them, and potentially grade there. Another place is there's an opinion about sports card shows. I love sports card shows. They're great for the hobby overall, but almost everybody that goes to a sports card show now is almost doing the same exact thing you're trying to do. If you're trying to just grade and flip for a business, 99% of the other people that are at a sports card show are doing the same thing. And if there is a ton of product there to be made, to be had, to be found, you best believe that there's always going to be someone looking at the dollar bins, looking at other places to potentially pick up inventory. There's a lot of people that give good examples of why not going to a card show is at the top of the list when you're buying raw cards to sell and potentially flip. All right, so we talked about some of the basic stuff, looking at corners, surface, edges, centering. We also talked about where you could potentially pick up some cards. We talked about the importance of why you would want to grade versus not. And if you don't remember, I would touch on it. Grading a particular card can increase the card's overall value from saying being a raw card at $800-900 to this card probably pushing $5 or $6 grand because it's such a low pop. And it's a very difficult card to get versus just selling the card raw. Also, on the flip side, from a collector standpoint, there's a lot of collectors like myself that want to collect more of the graded slabs than anything else. I'm not a big raw collector, and for the raw cards I do have, they're because they're my favorite teams and I gotta have them, but I also try to slowly move them over to getting graded if I believe they can get 9s or better, because I just like the feel that it protects the card long term. I'm not trying to have cardboard boxes all over my house with a bunch of card stuff into it that potentially could age poorly. Now, there's other things that you could do to, get a ton of top loaders and so forth to, store your cards a little bit better if that's something that you want to do. But at the end of the day, I rather have them graded for the ultimate security of a card from a collecting standpoint. Some of the biggest things that we didn't cover is a step-by-step of basically getting a card, graded or prepare for grading. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. You know what? I'm gonna do something because my girl, she collects Pokemon. I'm gonna go ahead and do it with this Pokemon card. Now, I showed you the example of a card that was scratched a little bit ago with the LaMelo Ball that I wouldn't send it into grading. Let's take a look at this Greninja EX. This Greninja EX, from looking at it, let's look at the centering. Now, Pokemon cards are a little bit easier to identify from a centering standpoint because they have this beautiful silver border, and we're able to kind of see, give it a bird's eye view with your own eye if it's centered or not. And to me, from top to bottom, from left to right, it might be a smidge thicker on the right side, but it looks pretty good. Take a look at the back. There it is. You can see that it's off centered. So actually, we're not going to do this card because I wouldn't get it graded. Let's go ahead and take a look at another one. Let's see. And now I'm picking a Pokemon card because it could be potentially be a lot easier. Let's do this one. Now, I wouldn't get this card graded either because the value typically isn't there. And now from a Pokemon standpoint, I like to sell Pokemon cards because they tend to keep their value. This card probably is about $5 to $6 raw. So a card like this, increasing its value to like a $20 card, it might not be worth it because it might cost you 18, 15, 18 bucks to get it graded. And we'll talk about fees in a little bit. But when I'm looking at this card is definitely centered. Front to back look good. Edges look great. Corners look good. Now there is a small white dot at the bottom. Is that going to really make that big of a difference? Could, but this is what we talked about before. You got to use some of your own judgment here. That little white dot, for the most part, some people just kick completely. But PSA is not, when they do their Gem Mint 10, they're not 100% perfect. They're saying this is as close as a perfect card as possible. They're not saying it's 100% a perfect card. That's where Black Label comes in from Beckett, and that's kind of like why I like Beckett for that ultimate rare card chase. But, you know, I just wipe it down a little bit. Don't use anything else, no cleaners, none of that bull. But we're also gonna get, say, one of these. This is a card saver. This right here is what all grading companies want you to send your card into. We now have a card, we now have a sleeve, and when we feel that the card is clean, looks good, we're gonna go ahead and place it in the card saver. When we place it in the card saver, we're gonna go ahead and slide it down, get it in there. This is how card grading companies want to receive the card. They do not and will not accept it if they're in top loaders, if they're in like bubble gum wrappers, whatever. You have to prepare and set up the card. Don't worry, I'm gonna have links below to card savers and penny sleeves. That way, if you wanna start grading, you could do that. Now, the next couple pieces, you're gonna have to go to like PSA.com, create an account, set up an account, and do the research yourself. Or there's also companies like a GA Grading. GA Grading is a grading service that submits cards to PSA. They are a certified PSA dealer, meaning that they have a relationship with PSA already. They can do bulk submissions, and they basically can take care of everything for you so you don't have to do it. And they work their fees into the pricing of the graded card that you're gonna get. So like for instance, I send all my stuff to GA Grading because I don't have the time to sit here and go to PSA and type this all in. If you're looking to, you know, do everything yourself and learn, by all means, go ahead and do it. But if you're looking for time and efficiency when it comes to, say, making money and really running a business, you have to make those expectations and those judgments on, okay, is this worth my time, yes or no? And if it's not worth your time, then I was gonna go ahead and say time is money. And if I can go ahead and send GA Grading a stack of cards that are ready to go, and they can submit, add it for me, and I don't have to worry about it. They worry about the tracking and everything else. They'll get my submission going. They'll handle putting line by line, putting into PSA. That helps me out a lot. It's easy, but it's also tedious, and I don't have hours in a day to do something tedious. So again, I said everything to GA Grading. They're great guys. I would highly recommend you check them out. Full transparency, I do own a percentage of GA Grading. I'm very transparent with everybody. This is not a standalone grading company. It is a group submission bulk service to PSA. PSA is still grading your cards, but my team handles everything for us. And they handle all mine. So I highly recommend the two guys that are in charge over there, Garrett and Adam. Shout out to them. They are fantastic people. But that's kind of like a loose video of how you submit all your stuff. If you want a little bit more of a detailed step-by-step guide, leave a comment below and I can go ahead and make that video next. Now, there is one thing I do want to say about grading in general. There's going to be costs associated with it, and there's going to be turnaround times. The more people sending cards, the longer a particular grading company is going to take to get the card back to you. The quickest turnaround times is SGC at the moment. They are known for that. But the value of SGC cards, say if you get an SGC 10 compared to a PSA 10, night and day difference. So if you're looking for value, again, maximize your profits and your opportunity, you're gonna wanna grade with PSA. Now, PSA's turnaround times, they have gone up a little bit. So if you do bulk submission, it could take up to 3 months before you get a card back. Depending on the level and how much you pay, you can get a card back in a week. Heck, the Paul Skeens was just pulled, and within 2 days, ironically 2 days, Topps was able to redeem it, sent over to PSA. It got graded the same day. It got a 10-10, and now it's at a Fanatics auction, which is also owned by Topps. Or Fanatics owns Topps, and it's at a Fanatics auction. Crazy how it's set up. But yeah, that's a quick little rant. But anyway, it all depends on the service level you choose for that particular card. Now, you're not gonna want a card back in a day and pay that high service level when it's a $6 card. Actually, I would not even grade a $6 card. We just did this as an example. But you get the point. The higher the value of the card, the more expensive it's going to cost to grade because they're putting a guarantee, like PSA is guaranteeing this. Now, I never come across of how that guarantee works. If they say, hey, this card is worth that particular value, like, do I have to file a claim if something comes up? I don't have those answers. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm just sharing you the experience that I have. But by all means, if someone has the answer below, let us know. But basically, this card, if you would submit it, they would not allow you to submit it as a bulk service because they cap it. They would force you to submit it at a particular tier that this card is worth. And as those tiers get bigger, the turnaround time gets smaller, if that makes sense. Okay. One of the big things I want to say as this video comes to an end is make sure that you jump into these communities, you ask questions, and you be a part of the community because you need to always learn. You need to always have an open mind. Don't claim to be an expert. Take everybody's advice in and see if you can pick on patterns that everybody else uses. Embracing yourself in a community is always a good thing. And this year, one of my biggest goals is to continue to build the loot box community up. We do have a Discord. Again, make sure you guys join. Follow the Instagram. If you have any questions, I try to help. But if you jump in that Discord, there's a lot of people in there that are super knowledgeable, that are more than happy to share their experiences with you. All right, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is like a beginner's guide. This is a beginner guide only to help guide you down that path. We can go into more detail in a couple other subjects if you want to leave the comments below, but I encourage you to take a card. If you have the ability to spend the cash, grade a couple cards. The best way I learned is by doing it yourself, by taking those risks and trying it out. So do it, see what the process is, if you can afford it, and see how see what the outcome is. And as always, we'll talk to you soon. Deuces.